that were moving around in the city, the reporters and the National Guard. They brought in soldiers to protect the area and keep people from coming back in until it was safe, because it wasn't safe. There was so much damage. So we had to go about a week, and it was really hard. Just think, what if you didn't have any electricity? What's the longest? Did the ice storm hit here?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it did.
Did anybody lose electricity? Any of y'all lose electricity?
Snow?
Some of you, when you had a storm, you know what that's like. You know, nothing works. You know, none of your things work. And you can't keep food in a refrigerator, and you can't get clean water. So it was really hard on people. And then finally, after everything was declared safe, then people started coming back to find out if their homes were there. And I remember walking with people looking for their homes. And can you imagine what somebody feels like when they walk up to a place where their house was and then it's just not there? I was with, and you could just see the sadness in their face because of the damage, and they know how much it's going to take to rebuild and get back to normal. It took us 2 years to get back to a semblance of what life was like before Hugo. And that's what a lot of people without their houses, without anything. So they had to come in and start rebuilding after that hurricane. And how long did the hurricane last? A couple of hours. And it did damage that took several years to clean up. Yes, sir.
Where does the other stuff go with the hurricane?
Good question. All that stuff that the hurricane picks up and throws, it just goes, it scatters it, you know, all over the place. They were finding, some people found pieces of their house 20 miles away. Somebody would find something that belonged to somebody, and they'd say, oh, and this was way inland, and they'd say, oh, this belonged to somebody that lived on the beach. And sometimes they would try to take it back to them if they could identify what it was. But everything, all the wood, all the roof, all the windows, everything was just torn up and thrown by the wind and the water. Yes, ma'am?
I watched a movie
Yeah.
of a hurricane that destroyed a city.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really bad. Yes, ma'am?
Do people ask you for autographs?
Every now and then.
Do people what?
Ask me for autographs.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Were there fishes in the water?
There were fish in the water. What happens to the fish? Threw them all up on the land.
Even
Huh? They do. They don't live on. They don't live on. So yeah. So you would walk out there, and some people had part of their house left. They had pieces left, and they would walk into their house, and what would be sitting in the living room?
Shark.
A shark.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Oh, is right. And he might be that big. And then there might be little fish all through the damage. But that's what happens to the fish. They were in the water, and all the water got pushed up on the land, and then when the water goes back, the fish are left on the land. And that's not good for fish. And what else? What is it? They don't smell good either, do they? After they get on the land. So you have this, that's another thing about hurricanes, is the smell afterwards. Let me tell you what it smells like. It smells like dead fish.
Ew.
It smells like wet wood.
Ew.
You know how wood smells when it gets real wet and damp? And it smells like rotten food.
Ew. Even oil?
It smells like gasoline and oil that have been broken out and spilled.
Does it smell like blood if a shark eats somebody?
Right. So we had to go out, and people had to clean up after all this. So it was really icky, really icky. And they didn't have any power, and they didn't have any water. People had to bring in fresh water for them to drink. Yes, ma'am?
Did anybody you know get hurt really bad?
Yeah, some people got hurt pretty bad, and some people got killed. We lost, I think, it could have been a lot worse. I think it was a dozen people by the time the storm was over that they didn't get out of the way. And they did, you know what they did? Here's a big word. They underestimated it. Do they know what that means?
They should, yeah.
That means that they didn't think it was going to be too bad. They said, oh, it's just another hurricane. you know, we've been through hurricanes before, and they said, ah, don't worry about it. Well, they should have worried about it, because when that storm hit, a lot of them got killed if they were in the wrong place, because they didn't evacuate, and they didn't get into a safe place. Yes,
Did you know anybody who got killed?
I didn't know anybody personally, no. I knew some people that got hurt. Yes, ma'am.
How many I have two questions.
Yes.
How many hurricanes did you go through, and which hurricane?
Where they, I went through a lot. In my life, I've always lived down on the coast. So we had them when I was a young child. We had Hazel, we had, I can't remember all the names. Hugo's the worst one we've had.
Wasn't it the X8 hurricane?
That's right.
I know it.
Very good.
I know it
So
was.
we get, this past year, how many hurricanes did we have?
I think two.
Zero. We didn't have any, okay? But the year before, we had a bunch. And they don't all come in and hit you. That's, you know, they wobble around and they move. So some of them hit further up, because where did the big one hit? It was Hurricane Sandy. Anybody heard of Hurricane Sandy? Where did it come ashore? Anybody remember?
No. I watched it.
Where? New Jersey. I don't even know where New Jersey is. If I'm Charleston and he's Savannah and he's Wilmington, and we move on up the coast, way up there is New Jersey. And that's the Hurricane Sandy. It came and it turned and it missed us, and it went all the way up to New Jersey, and it did a lot of damage. It wiped out, you know, 20 towns.
Did it wipe out like the 50?
It hurt a lot of people. Yes, sir.
Which one was deadliest more, Hurricane Hugo or Hurricane Sandy?
Well, to me it was Hugo. To them it was Sandy.
That's right. Well,
It
you're
depends
in it.
on where it hits, you know?
Tell, did you ever find anything of yours?
I found, not really.
No,
Not
it
really.
just went, all of it.
No, we didn't have anything left.
Mm.
You know, we didn't have a lot, but we didn't have anything. It literally threw stuff into the Intracoastal Waterway and back inland, so you would have to go into the marsh
Mhm.
to find anything. You'd find coffee cups and,
And somebody
Plates.
went and cleaned that out then?
Yeah,
Eventually, some
yeah.
groups went in and
Yeah,
boats and
yes,
pulled
cleaned it
stuff
out.
out of the marsh,
Right.
because you can't just leave trash
can't leave it there,
everywhere.
you had to clean it up. There was a
Just
lot of
ocean.
cleaning up, and all the trees were down, okay?
You
Big
could
trees.
sit on those?
Huh?
So you could sit on the tree trunk?
Oh, yeah, yeah, they were big. All the trees were down, and we had to go in with chainsaws. That's another sound
No.
and smell that you never forget. Because this is what you're gonna find out. As you go through life, things that happen to you, they don't just happen the way you see them. They happen the way you smell them and the way you hear them. These are your sensory things that happen, you know, because I can remember how it smelled after the hurricane. I can remember everybody using chainsaws and cutting trees to get them out of the roads, and that smell of wood being sawed up. You'll never forget.
Wood.
And the sound of chainsaws deep into the night, people out there trying to clean up their land. Yes, sir?
Did you see any sharks when you
I saw
went
some
out?
fish. I didn't see a shark, but I saw fish as big as this.
Whoa.
You know.
Like a what?
They'd be in people's cars, they'd be in their houses,
Oh,
they would be everywhere.
Ew.
Yes, ma'am.
Did y'all have anything to eat?
Not much, because everything got ruined.
so did they have like, Red Cross bring in
Yes,
food
the Red Cross
supplies?
came in and brought people food and water.
Can y'all eat fish?
No, you couldn't eat those
Never
fish.
did, Never did.
No,
No.
the one from the water.
They were already rotten. They were past
Yeah.
eating. So a lot of people came to help us. You know, a lot of people came to help us, and they would bring water and food and, you know, butane gas for different things, because nobody could cook. They had to use, you ever been camping? You ever been camping? You know, you have a little stove and you cook stuff. That's what we had to do for 6 months sometimes. Everybody was camping out. They didn't have a house.
So
And they
where
were
did
trying
you
to
live?
rebuild.
Where did you live then?
Alphonse. Oh,
After
I
that?
ended up rooming with a guy that was also wiped out, over on the left side of the storm over in Seabrook, actually.
Okay.
There was not as much damage on the left-hand side. But here's what we need to know. What is the first thing you need to know when a hurricane's coming? Yes, sir.
Evacuate.
Evacuate. And they'll tell you when, because our police and our mayors and all the people who are in charge, they will tell you it's time to go. Okay? They'll say this storm is really bad and it's time to leave so you don't get hurt. Okay? So they'll tell you, and you'll have plenty of time, because the good thing about hurricanes is we can see them coming. You know, when that thing is 3 days away, we know where it is because of our technology. You watch the weather on TV, you know that radar that they talk about, the Doppler that goes out. We've got technology. We can see that hurricane a long way away. So we know kind of where it's going and what the danger is. So when they tell you to leave, leave, because it'll kill you. And it used to be back in the old days, a hurricane would just show up on your door. They didn't know it was out there until it was too late. And that's when hundreds of people would be killed because they had no warning. We do have warning on hurricanes. What you got, Mom?
What if two hurricanes mixed together?
That would be really bad, wouldn't it? You know what they do?
I've never heard of that.
They come in a line. They line up behind each other, and it's all because of temperature and pressure, and that time of year. In the summer, when's hurricane season?
Oh, does anybody know that?
Huh?
Tell us when.
When's hurricane season?
Summer.
Summer and fall.
Yes.
Anytime between about June and October, we could get a hurricane.
What about November?
Yeah, we've had them in November before.
September?
Yep, all of those months, during the summer and into the school year, we have to keep an eye out for hurricanes. Now, they don't happen all the time, and all of them don't hit us, but every now and then, you get one, like we did. And it's a big mess is what it is.
Can you
It's
tell,
a big mess.
can you talk about the tornado, just briefly?
In
The
the-
tornadoes in there, and the after?
Sure. All right, you remember when Paris was out here? Paris, come back out here now. She's Hurricane Hugo, coming across the water. Come on out, right by here. All right, now, put your arms out. That's how big the storm is, okay? Now, within that storm, the winds are going like this, and they're going really fast, and they're spinning faster and faster and getting stronger and stronger. Within that storm, what happens is they spin off tornadoes. Now, what's a tornado? It's like a little hurricane, isn't it? It's a little spin. You've seen those on TV? And within that hurricane, they estimated there were about 100 tornadoes.
Wow.
And when they did the studies afterwards, they could tell how many there were and where they spun off and the damage they did. So it wasn't just the hurricane, it was all the storms within the hurricane. So there was a lot going on in there. Thank you very much. Okay? Yes, sir.
One more question, and I know you have some.
Hate tornadoes sometimes do more damage than
They're not as big. Tornadoes, when they come through, a tornado would come through here and it might hit from, 100 yards wide, maybe a little bit bigger, and it would go in a path, and you could see where it would go through, but a hurricane is 100 miles, 100 miles. Yeah, the
A whole
damage they've
city,
done.
a whole
It's
city
big,
and part of a city.
big, big. Yes, ma'am.
I was in Florida and we got flooded.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You got a bunch of them in Florida.
Gets lots of hurricanes.
And they come across Florida and they crisscross and do a lot of damage down
Like
there.
the kind of shit.
And why is that?
I don't know, we just went up there, because it was my mama's.
Yeah, well, it's because if this is the ocean, this is Florida, right? Goes in a peninsula like this, so it's surrounded by water, surrounded by ocean, so hurricanes could come from any direction. In Charleston, we only have to worry about them coming this way, okay? All right, so, everybody knows to get out of the way of a hurricane, right?
Yeah.
So when you get out of school and you go